In wrestling, there are very few true icons. Oh sure, lots of guys might say they're icons, and others might have that as a nickname as well, but to fans all over the world, we know there's only one. The icon, Sting. Making his name in Bill Watts' Universal Wrestling Federation in the mid-80s, Sting then moved on to Jim Crockett Promotions, and from there began to build a legendary career. For a decade and a half, Sting plied his craft for JCP, which would eventually morph into WCW, carrying the company on his back the entire time. The conscience of the organization, Sting took on all comers with a never-say-die attitude, all while continuing to evolve and change with the times, by stealing other people's material.
Riddle me this! Riddle me that! Who's afraid of the big black bat?
As the Monday Night War ended and the WWF began their unchecked reign of dominance in the American market, other WCW alumni would eventually leave their southern pastures for the bright lights of New York. One by one, they would fall. Diamond Dallas Page, Goldberg, and Scott Steiner, just to name a few. Booker T had a rough go for a while, but is pretty much now a made man. Of all those guys, the one who never wavered in his resolve was the man called Sting. For years, he was known as the one guy Vince McMahon could never sign. After WCW folded, did he follow his colleagues and go to Titan Towers? No, instead, he spent 9 years working for the burgeoning Total Nonstop Action, continuing to evolve in creative, original, okay, never mind. But in 2014, the unthinkable happened. After years of being fiend-zoned, McMahon finally acquired the legend. But was it too little, too late? Join me as we look back at Sting in WWE.
I am the silencer of injustice.
Oh no! Triple H with a sledgehammer! Sting driven across the ring!
Well, that was sure a fun look back. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. Sorry, folks, only joking. There's a little more to it than that. In April 2014, Sting made a surprise appearance on the WWE Network. Oh man, that's exciting. Is he wearing the paint? Is he challenging The Undertaker for a match? Oh, no, he's just a talking head for a documentary. Well, that's a decent first impression. Yes, Sting's first non-archived appearance for WWE was of him talking about his former tag partner and newly minted role model and saint, The Ultimate Warrior, for a documentary they put out just after he passed away. Okay, fine, a little underwhelming, but fast forward to July 14th and hark, what's this commercial I see? Holy shit! The Stinger's back! The Stinger is back! The Stinger is a pre-order exclusive for the next video game. Okay, fine. Very reminiscent of what Warrior did the previous year, I guess. And hey, it was a cool perk. You could play as Surfer Sting and as Crow Sting. Unfortunately, we're still waiting on the drinking in front of a mirror Sting DLC. But wait, just 10 days later, Sting would appear at the San Diego Comic-Con. Oh man, maybe he'll cut a promo announcing he wants to fight The Undertaker. Oh, never mind. He was just shilling the new Sting action figure. The icon Sting, everyone! By this point, many fans have resigned themselves into believing that Sting's WWE contract wasn't actually to wrestle, but rather to be a corporate shill. But things got serious at that year's Survivor Series. The main event for that show pitted Team Cena versus Team Authority. In the final moments, Dolph Ziggler, yes, you heard that correctly, was the last man standing for Cena's team, and all hope looked to be lost. But then...
Of course! He's been in Triple H's pocket since day one. Oh my God! It's Sting!
Out of the shadows, Sting finally emerged in a WWE arena. A man with a sense of justice, though not quite a hound, the Stinger put a stop to the Authority's evil ways, planting a scorpion death drop on Triple H and giving Ziggles the opening to secure the win for the good guys. As a result of that match, Triple H and Stephanie McMahon were forced out of power for about 6 weeks.
The greatest power couple in the world is back in charge!
So yeah, thanks for all the help, Sting. That sure was worth it. I'm really looking forward to reviewing The Authority in the future. After Survivor Series, Sting wouldn't appear on TV again until the Raw before the 2015 Royal Rumble. With John Cena in peril, Sting would once again come to the rescue, this time using the finger point of doom. No, point. I said finger point. On February 9th, Triple H issued a challenge to Sting to show his face at the upcoming Fastlane pay-per-view, and with ever a flair for the dramatic, Sting accepted via a clever use of power outage, pre-produced video, and a fake Sting. 50-50 odds that was just Sting wearing a mask of himself. The one-on-one confrontation between these two would finally take place at Fastlane in the most epic way possible. A promo. In his address to the Vigilante, which was the nickname they gave Sting during this run, sigh, Triple H made an incredible offer to have his legacy immortalized on the network, which already ran WCW footage, DVDs, one of which had already been released the previous September, and merchandise. Hello, did you miss the entire shill phase? But the Vigilante wanted none of this, and instead challenged Hunter to a match at WrestleMania. Sting next showed up on the March 16th edition of Raw, when he saved Randy Orton with his big black bat. He just needs to do the same for Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin, and Rico Constantino, then the best of OVW from 2002 will belong to him. The following week, Sting finally spoke his first words in a WWE ring, explaining to the Authority that he wasn't there to be a soldier for WCW, but instead to take Triple H down.
I'm not here to fight for WCW. That would be ridiculous at this point.
Oh yes, I forgot to mention, that was the entire crux of this storyline. WCW, you know, since Sting was so synonymous with WCW and literally nothing else over the last decade or so, nothing at all. By making this feud all about WCW, it painted Sting as a last-ditch hanger-on to the Monday Night War, whether he wanted to be or not. Even though he said in that promo that he was not fighting for WCW, the announcers still hammered that point home. By 2015, we as a fan base had gotten all we needed of WCW nostalgia. WCW did not define Sting. Sting defined WCW. We just wanted to see Sting, okay? During that promo, Stephanie tried to employ her trademark emasculation techniques and slap Sting, who deflected the attack. Triple H would then grab his sledgehammer before realizing that Sting had his baseball bat. Any D&D player will tell you, never underestimate dexterity over strength. So here we are, WrestleMania 31 in Santa Clara. We finally got to see Sting in a WWE ring for the first time to take down the evil emperor of the Authority, Triple H. But man, was it odd. Though I enjoyed the look of an outdoor Mania in the daylight, I'll admit it really ruined the aesthetic of certain wrestlers' entrances, Sting chief among them. The same can be said for Triple H's attempt to out-shill Sting with a Terminator tie-in. Then we go to the match itself. Things started out well enough, but in case this angle wasn't packed with enough nostalgia already, here come a bunch of old guys trying to relive the days when they were youngish and cool. Okay, I'll admit, I jumped out of my seat when they came out. While the cameos were entertaining, they felt out of place, not to mention a little nonsensical. Why would the NWO come out to help Sting, whose greatest angle in WCW involved him fighting the NWO?
That would be ridiculous at this point. Ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous.
Also, gosh, how conflicted must Sean Waltman have felt out there? Though Sting would break old Sledgy with his bat, Hunter would use the business end of it to make sure the Stinger's day one was H. Triple, in fact.
Wait a minute! Shoulders down and the game prevails!
14 years after the end of the Monday Night War, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see Sting at WrestleMania, and he loses to the heir apparent to the company, completely neutering what was, at the time, the biggest threat to the Authority. Yep, checks out. Sting would lurk in the shadows for months after his loss, and with a bad hair day like that, I can't blame him, but re-emerged after SummerSlam. After a successful winner-take-all match against John Cena, WWE and US champion Seth Rollins was to be gifted a statue in his image, but what showed up under the curtain turned out to be very different. What
the hell?
Wait a minute, this isn't the bar mitzvah I was booked for! Thus, Rollins' next title challenge was revealed for the Night of Champions pay-per-view. During the build to their match, Sting finally got to show a little bit of his playful personality as he held the Seth statue hostage in the arena. Was he just carrying that thing around this whole time? Oh! Seriously, what is with this company and garbage trucks?
For crying out loud, you're the third wrestler this week who's asked me about garbage truck rentals. You got the wrong number, pal. I run a dog grooming business.
The week before Night of Champions, Sting would have his first ever match on Raw against The Big Show, which ended in a DQ, but it was restarted as a tag team match with John Cena against Show and Rollins, which ended with Sting's one and only clean victory in WWE, making the champion tap out to the Scorpion Deathlock. Then everything went to shit. Night of Champions saw Rollins lose his US Championship back to John Cena, then he immediately had to defend the WWE title against Sting. Even though he was in his mid-50s, Sting was showing he could still hang with the Young Bucks, different Young Bucks, putting on a competitive match with the Architect. Unfortunately, this match included that buckle bomb, as Sting suffered a debilitating neck injury, collapsing immediately, but recovering enough to finish the match, going another 5 minutes before losing to Rollins. So who looks worse here, the guy who couldn't beat his opponent after he had just lost a match to somebody else, or the guy who couldn't beat a 56-year-old man until he almost died? This would be Sting's last in-ring performance, as he'd be diagnosed with cervical spinal stenosis, the same injury that ended the careers of guys like Edge and Steve Austin. On WrestleMania weekend in Dallas, Sting announced his retirement as he went into the WWE Hall of Fame.
I just want you to know this isn't goodbye, it's just see you later.
So ends Sting in WWE. So was it a bad run? Not the... Well, yes and no. I went into this thinking it was going to be one of the biggest, most frustrating drop balls in WWE history, and while it was certainly disappointing and had some missteps, there was a lot that was done well with this brief run. For instance, they made it very clear that Sting was a big deal, from the highly produced video packages to the strength of the Scorpion Death Drop. How many other wrestlers made the Authority cower in fear simply by pointing at them? It would have been nice if he won at WrestleMania, but he still went in, told a great story, and entertained the fans a lot better than somebody like, say, Scott Steiner, who was given the same treatment but didn't live up to the hype and was exposed instead of empowered. And while Sting jumping into a feud with Seth Rollins didn't feel totally organic, there was no question in the legitimacy of the competitor. It was sad to see his run end prematurely because he showed he still had plenty of gas in the tank, and I'm sure he could have been instrumental in the creation of future superstars. It might not be the way we all wanted him to go out, and we never did get that Sting-Undertaker match, but for a brief moment he was able to get the star treatment that he deserved in the last place anyone expected him to work for. And I think we can all agree that it's best his product shilling days are behind him.
Yes! Bring your favorite superstars to life this Christmas with WWE 2K18.
Kids, dig the face paint, man.
Are you two staying for dinner?
Yes!